In today's podcast, we're going to talk about choices. You have them. They have them. Let's talk about what to do with them. So looking forward to having that conversation.
Welcome to the Art of Raising Humans.
Hello, and welcome to episode 45 of The Art of Raising Humans. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we want to hit the topic of choices. Man, we have so many in our lives, right? I mean,
We do.
Goodness, there's so many
what life
choices.
is.
Yes, it's just like a lot, and sometimes they're very stressful, right? Choices can be really stressful.
Especially depending on your personality.
You know, before we get into talking about this more deep about choices and the importance of kind of guiding your kids with choices, is I want to make sure our listeners know about something that we're trying to do this fall, Sarah. Is this next fall and spring, we really want to get into more speaking opportunities. You know, and in the past, before the pandemic hit, there were several opportunities that we had where we got to go to different churches or schools or other kind of small groups and do speaking engagements. So I just wanted to tell our listeners that's something that we're looking to do. We've already got 3 or 4 scheduled for this fall, and we're looking to maybe do a couple a month where we can really help different size groups of people. You know, so whether it's a church or a school or like a smaller group of people, you might reach out to us. You know, feel free to email us at info@parentinglegacy.com, and you can find that email on our website, parentinglegacy.com, and would love to, if you have a request, just shoot it to us and we'll see if we can make that happen, because really our heart in doing this podcast is to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah. I always feel like I've been gifted this information and it's made such a difference in our parenting and our relationship, and we love to spread that, share that with everyone we can.
Exactly. We've been spoiled with some great information and been able to be mentored by some really great people in this field, so we want to give that back. So we'd love for you to reach out there. Also on the website, what you'll see is video trainings we've done in the past and that you can purchase there to really deepen into understanding. One is on conflict and how to resolve conflict in your family, and the other one, if you got a teenager, it's a fantastic one going into the school year about how to understand and communicate with your teenager. So both of those are there as well. Okay, so there's some choices for you, right? we just gave you some choices. Fantastic. Okay, so Sarah, I want to talk about choices and this idea of free will. I mean, what do you think about when you think about giving kids choices? Why give them choices? I mean, don't we know what's best for them?
We might actually.
We might. That's
Maybe
true.
not every single time,
That's
but
true.
a lot of times we probably do have a pretty good idea.
That's true. Yes. And even if I don't, I think I do.
A little hard to tell which is which, right?
Yes.
But yeah, this topic obviously I think is one that really impacted our parenting and the way that we approached our children.
Yeah.
And I think it's, for me, it's more about that, what I just said, that internal viewpoint that we have. That's why I think this topic is so important, because it's all how I view my child, and our relationship changes how I approach my child. So
Yes.
I think this one's really important because it's an internal thing I have to deal with that's going to then impact the way I come to my child in these moments of conflict or even just everyday life.
Yes. Yeah.
And it starts young. I think you hear about that. If you have a little strong-willed 3-year-old or something, give them choices. Do they want to wear the red shirt or the blue shirt? But the whole point of it is there is this, I think it's out there a little bit. Give your kids choices. But I think what we're talking about is just a little bit more than that, a little bit big picture.
Little big picture. And I want to do a subsequent podcast about getting into specifically those little choices, but I definitely want to get the big framework, because I really love, we first kind of thought about this with Dr. Becky Bailey's stuff in Conscious Discipline, where she talks about choices, and she talks about the overarching idea is that the only one you can make change is you. I mean, I think that was a big idea for us, right? Because I don't think growing up we thought that. I thought for sure, especially, I know for me, I thought if I got big enough and mad enough and, determined enough, sure, I can make people change, right? I mean, you even see in the road in traffic when people get mad at each other, they're yelling at each other, flipping each other off, trying to make each other change. I remember, Sarah, you and I had a funny conversation early on when you noticed how aggressive of a driver I could be. And it would come out of my mouth of like, you'd be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? I need to teach that person a lesson, And I remember you saying, do you think they want to learn from you? Do you think they're really? And I was like, oh, I don't know if they do, but I'm going to make them learn from me. So when they cut me off, I'm going to get around and I'm going to or I'm going to get really close to their tail and make them go faster. And there's all these ways in which I was behaving that definitely showed I didn't believe that was true. Yeah. I didn't believe the only person I could make change was me. And actually, I thought the hardest person to make change was me. I thought it was easier to make other people change, right? And I think that's what's so sneaky about that idea is I think at times we can look back and it seemingly looks like people made us change. Or it looks like we successfully made other people change. I mean, can't you see that sometimes?
Mm-hmm. I like that about this because you have to take ownership of your own control of your life. Yeah. And then also realize, like big light bulb moment, oh, my child is actually, even at a younger age, they make their choices for their life. Yeah. And it does feel like we're controlling people, we're puppet masters, or we're being the puppet. Yeah. But that's actually not true. We may bend for a moment or something, but you can't actually make another person change.
And you and I get to experience that a lot with working with parents is they come from both angles. Sometimes you can see they think they can make that kid change. Mm-hmm. And yet other times they think that kid is doing it to them, Yeah. So they live in this world of where, and what I noticed for me, Sarah, was when I tried to quote unquote make people change was when I felt the most out of control, mm-hmm. When I felt like I couldn't change myself. So I think what I was taught and modeled as a kid was you change your surrounding, you change those around you, change your setting, change the people in that moment, and then there'll be this inward change from the outward change.
Yes.
And so in hearing Becky Bailey talk about this, it was like a total paradigm shift of like, wait a second, I'm feeling so angry about this because I feel helpless to change me. Mm-hmm. So then I'm trying to change this little kid. I'll never forget when I worked in the public school system, a pre-K teacher bring a 4-year-old into my office and I'm trying to eat lunch. I'm just trying to hang out there, just taking a break. But the teacher brings the kid and she says, I've had enough of this. I cannot do this any longer with him. And just walked out. And what I saw in the kid's face was a little bit of confusion, but also a little bit of like pride. Because he was like, wow. Look at me. And I did sit there and think, that is interesting that this teacher went to school, got an education in college to teach kids this age. And yet this 4-year-old has control over her. And she believes it. Like she really believes I cannot, because she was thinking if I can't control him, then he's controlling me.
Mm-hmm. And I think parents, families, we slip into that all the time. Either I'm going to control my child or my child's going to control me. Mm-hmm. And that immediately sets up this resistance, this you against me. Yep. It's not a us together doing something. Mm-hmm. It's a, oh no, I better be in control or they're going to be in control. And you're instantly in a battle. Yeah. And that kind of, that seeps into all parts of your life together, all parts of your relationship. Yeah. If you have the mentality of someone here is going to be in charge, someone here is going to be in control, and I'd better make sure it's me.
Yeah, there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. And Sarah, what I think is so powerful about the parenting, and I hope all the people listening to these podcasts who have kids, is there's so many opportunities throughout the day with these interactions with the kids to either reinforce the lie that one of us has to control the other, or reinforce the truth, which is the only one I can change is me, right? And so what the kids really give you an opportunity that as we have done this with the kids time and time again, I found I stopped doing it with other people in my life, right? Yeah. I stopped believing I could do it to the coworkers I had. I stopped believing I could do it in traffic. I stopped believing I could do it almost everywhere, right? And I started going back to, wait, change begins with me, not with them. And so that's where Becky Bailey kind of frames it in this idea of, as parents, in every moment of our day, not just with our kids, every moment, you have two choices. You can accept what is and look for solutions, or you can resist what is and look for more problems. And I knew I definitely fell in the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that changes the moment, every moment you're engaged in, right? If you're thinking, okay, this is the moment I'm in.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do in this moment? Versus the other frame of mind sets up battles and fights. It does. And you can just, I feel like you can walk in a room and you can feel it. If there's been an argument, you can feel if that's the space everybody's in. Yeah. Versus, oh, okay, my child doesn't want to put on their shoes or they don't want to do their homework. Yeah. And if I accept that moment, the child feels the energy just drop down. I put it you can't see my hand, but
I can see it. It looks great.
You can feel the energy just drop down, and it frees everyone up. Yeah. To do something different. Yeah. But it starts with you.
Yeah. You remind me when you're saying that, I didn't put this in the notes, but you made me think of a time where Abby and I were in the room together. She was maybe like 8 years old, maybe 9, and we're having kind of a serious conversation. But so I probably was a little stressed by the conversation, a little frustrated, I guess, by the conversation. So when Brennan came in, he was maybe 6. I remembered that Abby had said she was kind of frustrated with Brennan about something in her room she wanted him to take out. So when he came in, I immediately said, hey, Brennan, hey, we're talking, okay? Get that out of her room and take it out. And Brennan felt what you just felt. Like he was like, what did I just walk into? So Brennan looked at me and he just paused and was staring at me. And because I was in this mode of, I'm going to resist what is, and I'm only going to see problems. So him not moving like that, his pause immediately made me go, he's not doing what I said. So I looked at him and said, Brennan, you hear what I said? I said, pick that up right now. And I just upped the energy. I upped it, right? And I basically was saying, you only have one choice, dude. And your only choice is do what I said, And he even more was like, just frozen because he was so confused. And then for a second, I thought, okay, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, but I am going to make him do this. And I just stared at him, and I felt like I literally was trying to use the force on him. I was like a Jedi.
You will walk over.
And I was like using the force, and we're just literally we stared at each other for probably like 10 seconds. And then I thought to myself, wait, what am I doing? Am I really trying to intimidate my son? Is that what I'm doing? Oh, big bad Kyle, you're going to intimidate your son? So I thought, I'm going to smile for a moment. I'm going to choose something. So I smiled, and then he smiled back, and then we laughed, and I said, dude, that was weird, wasn't it? And he said, that was weird. And Abby said, I didn't even know what was happening. That was so weird. And Brendan just said, you were just looking at me. And I know, did you feel me try to move you with my mind? And he's like, I didn't know what was happening. And then we kind of talked through it, and I said, hey, when you leave the room, grab that stuff. He grabbed it. He left. It was no problem. Yeah. But it was like, it slipped into this moment of just like, I'm going to make him pick it up and take it. And I don't care how much energy I have to throw at him, but I'm going to make him move. And the fact that he wasn't moving was just upsetting me so much because
you were already in the part of your brain that was upset.
Yes.
So it is. And I think that's good awareness, right? Because we're more likely to fall into that. You're controlling me or I'm controlling you in this situation if we are in a real emotional part. If we're in the amygdala, we're not in a prefrontal cortex. Yeah. It's much harder, but that's where you have to take a moment. And I know we're not going to get into techniques, but take that moment to go, oh, wait, I'm in control of me in this moment. Yes. I can accept this moment. We can find solutions in this moment.
This moment isn't an emergency. I also wrote down the sentence here, and I really resonate this when I was a kid, is when we resist them, they feel the only choice left for them is to oppose us. I mean, I'm not, it seems like I'm not giving them a choice, So I mean, like this idea of choices is it kind of goes back, Sarah, to this big idea that you and I believe, and so the listeners can buy into this or not, we believe that kids have free will. That kids actually, I don't give them freedom and I don't take freedom away. Would you agree with that?
I agree, yeah.
And if you're listening to this, I'd encourage you to think about it. I think too many times parents run into the problem with this skill in particular because they really believe they take and give freedom. And they aren't. Now you can limit.
I think it's scary to think that your kids have free will. I mean, if we really own it, we think, oh no, but then what are they going to do with that free will?
That's right, yes.
It's the part of us that loves them and almost wishes they didn't have their free will so we could protect them from things in life. It's hard to accept that it's a given in their life that they have free will.
I think it goes back to what we said, that we know what's best for them too, right?
Right.
That if they do have free will, they might choose things that are really harmful to them, and they might.
Maybe we did in our past, and we want to save them from similar
protect them from that. But so if I could reword it, the kids have free will. They can do whatever they want, but we as parents can limit their ability to express it, right? So we can limit it by our proximity, by access, all that kind of stuff. So you definitely can limit the way they express it.
Yeah, we're not saying just like, go,
of course not.
Be free, children.
Yeah.
Do whatever
but even then you do it all the time. Like with a little baby, you limit the baby's free will by walking around with the little baby or the little toddler so they don't go put their head in the toilet or they don't pick up something and eat it like a Lego. I mean, you walk around and you limit their free will by limiting their access to things that could be harmful, similar to like phones or social media. So there are ways you limit it, but don't buy into the lie that you actually give it or take it, because then if you have that power, you become the enemy. You become the one they have to relentlessly like annoy the snot out of until you give it.
You're the gatekeeper of
exactly.
My freedom.
Yes. And so instead,
and even if their behavior, maybe it looks like they comply, when you get internally what their thoughts and their feelings and their heart, so to speak, that doesn't necessarily, even though the external looks like maybe you're succeeding in controlling them, the internal won't.
Totally. And so many teenagers that we talk to, I'll ask them, hey, what grades did you get? And I got all grades. That's great. Yeah. Was that, you really proud of that? Well, I just did it because if I didn't, I'd get in trouble. Like if I get B's or C's, my parents are really mad. So I'm like, you don't even have the freedom to choose to get good grades? No, I have to get good grades. That stinks. So then you don't even get to feel the joy of getting them. It's like, no, I'm just happy I didn't get in trouble or get grounded. The only reason why I did my homework because I'd get in trouble if I didn't. Or the only reason why I helped my brother or sister because mom and dad would get mad if I didn't. And so what we end up doing is we end up even on the good things, which is what I find tends to happen. If from a young age we've not been respecting the choices they have and understanding they had free will the whole time, then they grow up into teenagers who think all the good things they did was because you made them.
Yeah, a lot of times I didn't hit because if I hit them, then I would.
Exactly. Yeah. I wanted to hit them, but I didn't because I get in trouble.
And how much more would you hope for your children to get good grades because they're choosing it, to not hit because they know it would hurt that person and the kindness that's inside of them doesn't. Yeah, you lose all of that because it was done just by a threat.
So I really love this, and this is helpful to us. So I do want to give the listeners something really practical to think about, and then we can get in. Maybe in a few episodes we'll do a subsequent with specific stuff. But the question that I think was really transformational, is a lot of parenting techniques, a lot of parenting philosophies. When you read books about them, the question they're all trying to answer is, how do I get my child to do X, Y, and Z? So whatever that is, how do I get them to do it? And I know many times even parents that we help, they'll go and talk to other parents and be like, well, what was the consequences? Did they tell you what to do when they did X, Y, and Z, or when they did this? And it's all an attempt of how do I make my kid become this human I'd like them to become, So you'll hear a lot of that language. How do I make them clean their room? How do I make them do their homework? How do I get them?
Because if I give them the freedom, choice, then they're not going to do it.
Exactly. They'll only choose if I make them or get them to. So I love how in Becky Bailey's thought process, she changes that question. And that, to me, when you change this question, it completely changes how you approach the situation. So she changes the question to, how do I help my child be more likely to choose X, Y, and Z? And in there, what she's trying to do is inherently connect with the truth that I can't get my kid or make my kid do anything. Right? Even if it looks like you said, even if it looks like they complied and it looks like I did, no, they always chose. Yeah. There are kids, I don't care how much you threaten them, they say I'm going to do it, Yeah. And that's really frustrating to a lot of parents. But those kids are saying, you can't get me or make me to do it. So the goal for me from the time they're 0 to 18 is to teach them how to take this gift, this free will, this powerful, powerful gift, how to take that and use it to really bring more good and more light and just more, awesomeness to this world. And the way you do this from the time they're born to the time they leave your house and on is you're constantly asking yourself, how do I help my child be more likely to choose?
You actually want to recognize their freedom, their free will, and you want them to know they have their free will so that they can spend those 18 years practicing how to use the free will that they have. I love that. And then put the supports in there. How what she said, like instead of making them do it or getting them to do it, it's how can I help support them? What supports can I put in place?
Yeah.
What skills do I need to teach them?
Yeah.
How can I give them what they need
Yeah.
to use their
Totally.
free will?
Yes. Yeah. Well, and this totally goes back to this idea we just hit upon in the last couple of episodes about school and starting the school year off, right? I love the word co-creating, that it's really the idea of choices is in everything I do with my kid. If I'm being honest with myself, I am co-creating that with my kid. I am not making them do anything. And the sooner they know that, the sooner they know that I'm not making them, the sooner they know I'm not getting them to do it, the sooner they can start equipping themselves to empower themselves in any given moment,
Yes.
even from a moment like they're about to take a test and they're really anxious about that test. They don't have to let the anxiety overwhelm them. They have a choice. Anxiety doesn't make them do anything, right? Or even like in a silly way, I'm thinking of all those conflicts when we were growing up where some kid, quote unquote, fell in love with somebody, right?
Yes,
and they just like, I have to see her. I have to talk to him. This kind of, you don't have to. But a kid who thinks their whole life is dictated to them by either the adults in their life or the feelings they have, then they're just powerless, right? And so I think a lot of listeners can really resonate with that too much in our culture, we're counselors, so we love to talk about feelings. I think feelings are super important. Yeah. And I think in most people's lives, they don't listen to them enough. But you are not a victim to them. Feelings do not control you. You have a choice what you do with feelings. You can sit with them, observe them, and accept them, or you can resist them and wish they'd just go away, right? But you are not controlled by them. And so from a time that they're little all the way up to, you're not only helping them express their freedom with their actions, but freedom with their thoughts, freedom with their feelings, freedom with their, behaviors, all those kind of ways,
Yeah. Yeah, it changes your life if you grow up thinking, oh, I have free will and I can choose my path. Yeah, because you're not tossed around by your friends, by peer pressure, by teachers, by coaches, by feelings, by all the things in life that we do think control money.
Yeah,
all these things that we think do control us, our bosses in life.
Yeah.
But if we actually grow up, what a difference that would be thinking, okay, I have free will. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to exercise my choices? Did I like the choice I made? How would I change that to feel like you're steering your ship, but your life the whole time? It's just a very different way of walking through life than believing that things are tossing you about here and there, and you're just reacting to
totally.
Them.
Yeah, I love that. You are. Yeah. I was thinking of, as you're speaking, I was thinking of a leader with youth. He worked with youth a lot, and he was telling me how he can, with the groups he works with, he can almost predict which kids are going to go crazy in college.
Yeah.
And those are the kids that seemingly had never had a choice. They were told they had to go to church, they had to get the A's, whatever the thing is the kid feels like they had to do.
Right.
And then when the kid goes to college, the lie they believe is, now I'm free. But the truth is they have always been free. They just haven't had a lot of opportunities to manage that freedom in a healthy way. It's always been controlled for them. So then when they get to the college, they end up coming to counseling eventually because they've made a lot of dumb decisions that they could have made when they were 6, 7, 8, 9 and had a lot less serious consequences. But now they're flunking out of school, or they've got an issue with alcohol, or all these kind of ways where they just thought
they didn't get to learn how to manage the free will that they had.
Yeah. Because in their mind, freedom is just do whatever your impulses tell you to do. When that's actually not freedom. Freedom is actually self-control. It's the ability to want to do something and say, is that the best for me to do right now? And that's really what freedom. People who are living truly free lives are people who are self-disciplined, have self-control. They don't let the box of donuts tell them they've got to eat a dozen donuts. They look at the donuts and say, I like donuts, and I'm going to have one of those today, but I don't think I need 11 more. But the person without the self-control just go. And then I'm thinking of the other kid, though, the other kids who they didn't go crazy in college, but they're trying to figure out their path and they don't have any idea how to do that.
Yes.
And they're super anxious about it because the freedom of choosing that.
Everyone else was always telling me what to do, and now I'm supposed to suddenly know how to do that for myself.
Yes.
And you don't know how because you didn't get to do it all the way growing up. You didn't get to test things out and make mistakes or you walk through those decisions with someone right beside you.
Yeah.
You want to let your kids make those choices and you're there with them. Oh, how'd you like that choice you made? And be with them in it before it's high stakes.
hope you heard even what Sarah just said. And we could, once again, in another podcast, we're not talking about making good choices and bad choices. We're not just putting them in, we're not putting them in these two categories. Choices have a wide range of results. And so sometimes parents, I think, do that, where they'll talk about, was that a good choice or a bad choice? Right. I don't think every choice falls in those categories. So it's really just, did you like that choice?
Yes.
Did you like the outcome you got? Right? If you didn't, what choices could you make? So we'll talk about further. But the main ideas here that I hope our listeners come away with is, one, the only person I can make change is me. Number two, in every situation, I have two choices to make, or one choice to make. Either I accept what is and look at solutions, or I resist what is and I look at all the problems. And then the third one is changing the question from how do I get my child to do X, Y, and Z to how do I help my child be more likely to choose X, Y, and Z. So I hope that's really helpful. I think we gave you a lot to chew on. I know this is a skill that we still every day are working on in our own personal lives, in our marriage, with our parenting. And it's so freeing to get better at it, that I don't have to live a life that's constantly controlled by my external circumstances. Every opportunity is an opportunity to choose. So we'd love your feedback. Love for you to go to the podcast, rate us. 5 stars would be awesome. Would love more and more people. The audience is growing. Please share this with your friends and stuff. I really think this is gold for many families to hear this stuff. So please share it. Turn them on to The Art of Raising Humans. We really want to help as many families as possible. So we thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening.
The Art of Raising Humans podcast should not be considered or used as counseling, but for educational purposes only.